You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. Hi everyone, and welcome back. Well, Richard, let us know what's going to be happening at the Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow.
Well, I'm sure there'll be an update on the committee hearing in the State Assembly today regarding the wild and scenic legislation. These committees are stacked against you, so the odds are against Amador County prevailing, and because along with the stacking of the committees is the stacking of common sense. Why in the middle of a drought would you take away somebody's ability to get more water off the river? And Foothill Conservancy can assert again and again that we'll still be able to build projects on that river. You know what? That's if there are no objections. And who's going to object? The Foothill Conservancy, just like they've always done in the past. So anyway, that report will come, I'm sure, in public comment tomorrow.
Okay. I was curious because I've been trying to see how I could look at this as well, and I was wondering if there's no more water, as you're suggesting might be the case, is Amador County now at the size that it will probably be? Do we have room to put in some of the projects that are already approved?
I think as much about protecting the river, this issue is about growth. And the issue is about restricting growth. And sure, I mean, all of us look at it long term, 50 years down the road. I think even the Foothill Conservancy looks at it long term, because except for their position will affect growth almost immediately, and the well serves that go out, and it's going to be a case that my grandkids, their kids may not be able to live here in the future. I mean, there may not be enough water to go around. We're already at a point where if we get one more drought year, there are areas of the county that may have trouble getting service because the lakes, once they get so low, PG&E is not required to give us water out of them to provide it. I mean, you have to improvise and try to figure out how we're going to get water. But we don't have a firm yield, is what we found out in this whole drought process. Anyway, we digress. It's a big discussion.
Okay.
Tomorrow, first up, George Allen, the Chief Deputy Registrar of Voters, will be in, I'm sure, with Kim Grady, our clerk recorder, to present to the board the canvass of the June 3rd primary election, and ask us to accept that canvass. So this is all of their results from across the county, and I think most people have seen those now, so I don't need to go through that, but we just have to do this to formally accept it, and who's the winner, and who will go on and be placed in office. So, all right. We'll have that discussion that was delayed from my last report here on river flow requirements. Chris Bennett from PG&E's Hydro Division will come in, talk about the FERC license, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission license, the hydro generation process on the rivers, and the intricacies of things like part of the FERC lawsuit and settlement was that they have to have releases now on a periodic basis of water to support rafting, recreation, and fish. Our whole point is, what about the people? If we're in the middle of a drought and we don't have enough water and the lakes are going down, is there a way that we can appeal that, or is there a provision where that can be appealed, the releases, and reduced? So that'll be a big question tomorrow. I somewhat don't think there will be.
Will there be an answer for that, or just basically questioning?
There'll be hopefully an answer to it, but okay. Mr. Bennett is the expert in the Hydro Division, so we'll see. Susan Manning will be in next. Susan from the Feed Barn will be talking about the 999 program. Best Friends, $9 for 9 lives for 9 days promotion. And they're planning to run this about the second week of July in that 9-day period. And as she said, this is the period of time when really they get the most cats into the animal shelter. So she's asking the county to agree to allow cat adoptions to take place for those 9 days for $9. So, and you'll save 9 lives by doing that. So it's a great promotion, I think, and cats are a big problem for the shelter as far as room. If something like this works, and it's only 1 cat per household, So if it works, though, it'll significantly reduce the numbers, reduce the euthanasias that are required,
Right.
and should be a good program.
And cats are great pets.
Yeah, I like cats, but cats don't. My dogs don't like cats, so we have to. But anyway,
You got to raise them together, then they.
yeah, I won't be adopting, but I might be
Okay.
approving that tomorrow. It's a
All
great
right.
program. John Hoffman will be in to talk about the Secure Rural Schools Act. And the big discussion here is going to be on the Fire Safe Council. What were their obligations to get funding? Have they lived up to those obligations? We're going to talk about the direction given by the board. There was previously allocated a little over $55,000 to go to development of a high country community wildfire protection plan, to develop a Fiddletown protection plan, to develop a homeowner's guide with landscaping advisory components, and balance of the funding would go into educational events for the Firewise program. Now there's some discussion, too, of doing some programs with the United States Forest Service in coordination with them. There's a lot of discussion in our board packet about what you can do with United States Forest Service and what you can't do with this is Title III money. That was our designation. If you go to Title II, it opens the door for more activities you can do with the Forest Service. Our point was we want to keep the money as local as possible, and that means going into the Fire Safe Council, not necessarily going back into programs with the U.S. Forest Service, because I think a lot of us feel they should be doing their own work with federal government money. I mean, this money's coming to us to replace funds that have previously been taken to us because you have a lot of timber harvesting that's not going on now, and that's what's caused the whole problem in the first place. So we'll have, hopefully Kathy Coos-Brazil will be in to address a lot of these points, and we'll talk through it.
Okay.
We'll have discussion again about the jail property assessment. Basically, we're reaching a point with the jail and development of a new jail of fish or cut bait. It's probably the best way to put it. We have a consultant that the board at the last meeting authorized an additional expenditure of funds for that consultant to do additional studies on the Wicklow project, the north and south locations of that property, and on the SPI property. I think what our CAO is seeing after looking at the monies is no matter what we do, unless we come up with some additional revenue, we're not going to have enough to build a jail. And because you're looking at $22.5 million award, and it's going to cost us almost double that amount to build a jail. We just don't have that kind of money laying around, so we have some creative ways that we're looking at, but the discussion will be interesting discussion tomorrow and comprehensive as to whether we can move forward on this thing, or I think we have till about September 15th.
Our money's already coming from the state?
22.5. The problem is that award is not enough.
Okay.
I mean, they want counties to come up with about the other half.
Are other counties working on, find themselves in the same position with not enough money?
Yeah, and the counties that have built jails, like Kern County, I read an article last week where Kern County has built a jail. They're not sure where they're going to get the money to staff that jail now.
Okay.
Because, that's what the position we don't want to be in. We don't want to get sued because we're not meeting the federal statutes on prison health and all of that. But on the other hand, we don't want to get ourselves into a situation where there's not enough money. Not enough money to staff it, not enough money to pay for all the other residual costs.
Public safety is government's job one, I feel, and they should come up with some more monies to house the inmates.
And the states they have relaxed some of these rules. They've relaxed the requirement that you build it for $160, you fill it, and you staff it for $160. You got to pay the 5% match. They're waiving some of that now. But it's still not enough for small counties, small rural counties. Calaveras has a brand new jail. I don't know where they're going to come up with the money to staff that jail. They have an $8 million deficit this year. And they're just taking baby steps to chunk away at that deficit. But they have a brand new jail. They have to staff it, and they have to pay those costs. I don't know where they're going to come up with that money to to balance their budget. So we don't want to end up in those kinds of situations, but we got to be creative, and we are trying to do that to find other areas where we might be able to finance the jail.
All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back with the next item on the agenda. Stay with us right here on TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.